All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Mriganka, one of the co-founders and the CEO of Merkle Science. Thanks for staying behind, and this is probably one of the last few presentations before the drinks events, so I'll make it worth your time. Before I start, the topic is essentially USDT is banned in Europe. I love to ask the audience some questions. So, how many people in the audience, just a show of hands, think that USDT is banned in Europe? Or Tether is banned in Europe? All right. Question number 2. How many people think Tether voluntarily left Europe? Okay, I see some show of hands here. Well, the answer to both is actually more like a maybe. The gentleman up front, like most things in crypto policy, all the answers are maybe, right? So let's get started. So Merkle Science, we do blockchain analytics and forensics, essentially help trace illicit crypto activity. We work with some of the largest crypto exchanges, protocols, as well as law enforcement agencies to help them trace illicit cryptocurrencies. Some basics about MiCA. So MiCA was enforced on December 30th, 2024. So Markets and Crypto Assets Regulation for Europe. They categorize stablecoins as EMTs and ARTs. Tether is not an EMT, right? So essentially, as the previous panelist mentioned, MiCA has a lot of strict requirements, strict redemption rules, reserve asset requirements, local presence obligations, and restrictions on interest-bearing stablecoins. A large percentage of reserves also have to be stored in liquid deposits. That's a big problem for a lot of stablecoins because they can't earn interest on it, right? So a couple of problems here for Tether. Number one, they're based in Hong Kong. Their headquarters isn't in Europe. They would intrinsically have to change their structure to be compliant with MiCA. Number two, all of these strict requirements, specifically the interest-bearing portion, is a big problem for them. This is why Tether never applied for the EMT license. ESMA in January said that Tether, therefore, is non-compliant with MiCA. And then what happened is a bunch of European exchanges, Crypto.com, I think OKX, and Coinbase all delisted USDT. So this is why the answer to both is maybe. We don't know if they were banned from Europe per se. And we also don't know whether, Tether voluntarily left Europe. It's all down to speculation. More importantly, what are the global consequences of Tether's exit from the EU? So the results are clear: limited consumer choice. Tether is the largest stablecoin in the world. So there is a perception element to this as well. Some economies optimize for innovation. Some economies optimize for safety. So it turns out that Europe has chosen safety and stability versus innovation. So there is a perception that the US might be better for stablecoins that want to grow. So again, what this means is a lot of protocols out there, a lot of stablecoin projects do have a center of gravity in Europe, but we'll now focus a lot more on the US because regulatory guidelines are expected this year. Optimism, there's a lot of optimism in terms of policy and general momentum. So you'll see a lot more activity all across the US. So a little bit about the US stablecoin regulation. So the US lacks a federal stablecoin framework. There's typically been regulation by enforcement, conflicting state laws that cause uncertainty. The most important thing for the US is the Genius Act. So essentially, I think Rob on the last panel talked about it. Everybody in DC is talking about it. There is an expectation that it will be passed this year. So they do set guidelines, AML-CFT guidelines for stablecoins, stablecoin issuers. They have reserve guidelines as well. But the most important thing that they do is that they categorize who's going to have oversight. So financial institutions with value greater than 10 billion will have oversight by the Fed Reserve, non-bank issuers by the OCC, and any other issuers of stablecoins under that value will be regulated by state-level regulators, right? So this piece of guidance is extremely important along with everything else in the Act, because now the regulator is not uncertain. It is very clear who's going to be regulated by who. Now, what does this mean for us? So essentially the path forward, there's three key things. Learning from the EU. So the next 6 months, we'll know what the impact has been of MiCA on the stablecoin industry in the EU. We will get to know whether volumes have dropped in crypto exchanges because they've delisted Tether. Has there been a drop in the projects coming out of the EU? And that'll provide data points on stablecoin regulation for the US. Of course, the most overused word, collaboration, is key. So public-private collaborations all across the board are going to be key. And Merkle's role, so Merkle's a reg tech provider, so more of an infrastructure provider. We love crypto, we love regulation. We are just here to interpret it and provide tools to protocols, crypto exchanges for it. So essentially, we provide a product called like a packaging essentially of all our solutions, compliance solutions, wallet screening solutions, proof of reserves, and forensics. We've seen a lot of protocols and stablecoin issuers starting to use this. Either they want to create a safe ecosystem where the protocol proactively marks North Korean addresses, proactively wants to stop crime, or they encourage the ecosystem to start using compliance tools and forensics tools to like abide by regulation and grow. So that brings me to the end of the presentation. I guess two key insights. One, stablecoins are going to explode. They're already exploding. They are the primary use case of crypto, which is leading to mainstream adoption. Again, some would argue that it's meme coins, but we can all agree that stablecoins are probably the more serious form of crypto adoption across the world. Number two, the next Sam Bankman-Fried is probably going to come from the stablecoin world. Wherever there is a boom, there is a bust. You're definitely going to see some of these innovative entrepreneurs in the stablecoin industry either get arrested or pay large fines. So it's essential that we have regulatory guidance and compliance and forensics in the space. All right. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening.